Ha! I totally got this.
Are you sure about what you're writing?
What? Who are you?
Well, I'm Teacher Kit, and you seem to need help with that essay.
I think I'm doing all right. Thank you, though.
Really? Well, for starters, your essay seems to have no direction at all. Do you have a topic sentence for your paragraph?
What's a topic sentence?
I knew it. Don't worry though. Keep watching and I'll show you how to write an effective classification and exemplification essay. My name is Teacher Kit, your virtual teacher for reading and writing. First of all, what is the purpose of a classification and exemplification essay? The words classification and exemplification are pretty big words that may seem difficult. However, they're actually quite simpler than you think. One way to make a seemingly difficult word easier to grasp is to break it down into its roots. Classification comes from the root word class, which means categories. On the other hand, exemplification is from the word example, meaning representative or instance in a category. Classification is used to classify or categorize a subject into classes or groups based on their common or shared characteristics. Exemplification comes right after you classify a subject. To exemplify is, well, to provide instances or examples to explain or elaborate on a class. Classification and exemplification work together to effectively explain a subject or prove a point.
Oh, so does this mean I need to pick a subject to classify, then provide examples for each class?
That's right. You catch on quickly. This brings us to our very first step. Step 1. Choose a subject. Choosing a good subject to write about is probably the most important step in starting an essay. In a classification and exemplification essay, a good subject is current, useful, and most importantly, can be classified into classes or groups. Current means that the subject is relevant to present issues and trends. A good subject is also useful, meaning that your analysis of this subject would provide new insight or additional knowledge to people concerned about the issue. Ultimately, a good subject can be classified or categorized into classes or groups. It won't be a classification and exemplification essay if the subject you chose cannot be classified. Current, useful, and can be classified. I think I know a perfect subject for you. Let us write about the different ways to improve a person's general well-being during the pandemic. It is current, pretty useful, and can be classified into classes. Let me show you more ideas for subjects that are current, useful, and can be classified, just so you have options. Useful mobile phone apps for studying. Stress coping strategies. Hobbies during the pandemic. Book genres to read for leisure. Types of essential workers and their roles. Ways to protect yourself from COVID-19. And ways to overcome writer's block. Now that we have a subject, the next step is to brainstorm ways to classify and exemplify your subject. Brainstorming is one of the best ways to generate ideas for our essay. In a brainstorming session, tools we call graphic organizers will come in handy. Graphic organizers are visual charts and graphs that will help you organize ideas and information generated from your brainstorming session. For this particular essay, we will be using a graphic organizer called the mind map. This brings us to Step 2. Create a mind map. A mind map is a visual way to plot ideas and information you've gathered or thought of in a brainstorming session. Get a piece of paper for this exercise. Start your mind map by writing the subject at the center of your paper. Then, classify your subject into classes using lines we call stems. These classes will then be exemplified using stems to show examples. Let's try creating a mind map. Since we chose the subject general wellness during the pandemic, we will start our mind map by writing our subject at the center of our paper. Now, let's classify our subject. A lot of articles we found online identified 3 kinds of activities that promote general wellness: physical, mental, and spiritual activities. Let me write those classes in our mind map. Looks great! We have successfully classified our subject. Now, it's time for us to exemplify each class. Basically, we now need to brainstorm examples of activities that promote general wellness for each class. First, let's exemplify your first class, physical activities. What physical activities can you think of that promote general wellness? Well, the first thing that comes to mind is daily exercise. I think getting enough sleep is another example as well. And so is eating a balanced meal on time. These seem like great examples. Let us write those down on our mind map so we won't forget. Let us now exemplify our other 2 classes. We filled in mental and spiritual activities as well for your convenience. Under mental activities, we listed meditation, reading a page from a book daily, and keeping a journal. Under spiritual activities, we included daily prayer, scripture reading, and attending church. Our mind map looks great. I think we're ready for Step 3. Write your paragraphs. Now that we have our mind map, we may start constructing our paragraphs. Here is a simple outline to help us construct a paragraph for a classification and exemplification essay. First, a topic sentence, followed by a supporting sentence. Then, a concluding sentence at the end. Let us now first discuss what a topic sentence is. A topic sentence is the first sentence of your paragraph. Think of it as a mini thesis statement, but only for one paragraph. The topic sentence contains the main idea or a controlling idea of your paragraph. For this particular essay, your topic sentences are based on the classes from your mind map. For example, the first class you identified based on your mind map is physical activities. Let us now create a topic sentence using physical activities as our basis. To do this, ask yourself, what is the significance or connection of this class to your subject? In your case, what is the significance or connection of physical activities to general wellness? Here is our topic sentence for physical activities. Physical activities promote general wellness during the pandemic. Boom! We now have our topic sentence. Supporting sentences follow our topic sentence. The number of supporting sentences in a paragraph depends on how many examples you included in your mind map. In our case, we exemplified 3 physical activities: daily exercise, getting enough sleep, and eating a balanced meal. We will write a sentence or 2 explaining each of these physical activities. We may consult sources such as books, websites, journal articles, and other credible sources to help us explain each example. Here are supporting sentences. For daily exercise, we wrote 2 sentences. Daily exercise is a beneficial example of physical activity. It helps control weight, reduce the risk of heart disease, and strengthens the bones and muscles. We found these facts from Concordia St. Paul's website, and so we included the author and the year it was published at the end of our second sentence. We did the same for getting enough sleep and eating a balanced meal. This is our paragraph so far. This is our topic sentence. And here are our supporting sentences. This is our supporting sentence for daily exercise. This is our supporting sentence for getting enough sleep. And our supporting sentence for eating a balanced meal. To complete our paragraph, it's now time to write our concluding sentence. A concluding sentence is located at the conclusion or at the end of your paragraph. Its purpose is to summarize the ideas you discussed in your paragraph in one sentence. My suggestion is to mention the examples we discussed and their connection to our topic sentence. For example, since we discussed daily exercise, getting enough sleep, and eating a balanced meal in our examples, our concluding sentence will look something like this. Daily exercise, enough sleep, and a balanced diet are beneficial physical activities that promote general wellness during the pandemic. Let's add this to our existing paragraph. Now, we have our topic sentence, followed by our supporting sentences. And finally, our concluding sentence. Boom! We are done with our paragraph. Make sure to do the same thing with the last 2 classes.
I got it. Thank you so much for your help. I will do the same for mental and spiritual activities.
Hey, Kim,
Yes, Dad.
can you go buy some rice at the grocery later?
Sure, Dad. But I still have one more essay to finish.
Essay about what?
The comparison and contrast essay.
Good luck, son. And don't forget to wear your face mask and face shield.
Gotcha, Dad.
Why the face?
It's just that I hate wearing masks and face shield for so long, especially during this hot weather.
It could be uncomfortable, but hey, it will keep you safe.
I know. I just miss the day when we didn't have to wear masks, or be scared because of the pandemic, or have a normal class in a classroom.
I know. A lot has changed since the pandemic started. Hey, remember your next essay about comparison and contrast? I think we just found the perfect topic for your essay. Get ready, because we are about to explore the comparison and contrast essay. A comparison and contrast essay does 2 things. First, comparison discusses elements that are similar or alike. Second, contrast discusses elements or ideas that are different or contradictory. The very first step in writing a good comparison and contrast essay is to choose a subject. Choose 2 subjects that connect in a meaningful and relevant way. Just like how we choose subjects in our previous essays, choose subjects that are current, useful, and relevant. This would make sure that your essay would be interesting to you and to your readers. Since we are talking about the pandemic, the 2 subjects I would like us to compare and contrast are life before the pandemic and life during the pandemic. Both subjects are current, useful, and relevant. It's perfect. Here are more subject ideas for a comparison and contrast essay. Humanities strand versus the STEM strand. Traditional versus online learning. Senior high school versus junior high school. Books versus movie adaptations. Cloth masks versus surgical masks. These are great subjects to explore in a comparison and contrast essay. If you have other ideas, you may use them accordingly. We are now ready for Step 2. Create a Venn diagram. Now that we have chosen 2 relevant subjects, the next step is to brainstorm using a Venn diagram. A Venn diagram is a useful graphic organizer that visually shows the similarities and differences of 2 subjects by using 2 overlapping circles. Each circle represents a subject. Similarities between the 2 subjects will be written on the center space where the 2 circles overlap. Differences will be written on these remaining spaces. Go ahead and try it. Brainstorm using information you already know, like observations and personal experiences. We may also look for more examples from printed and online sources. Let us now try creating a Venn diagram. I'll label the first circle Life Before the Pandemic. Then the second circle, Life During the Pandemic. Okay, let's fill these in. Before the pandemic, we don't wear masks. Now, we couldn't go out without a mask and a face shield. Before the pandemic, we have face-to-face classes. Now, we have modules and online classes. Oh, similarities. We use social media before and during the pandemic, even more so during the pandemic. Brainstorm or research additional information to fill up your Venn diagram with as much ideas as you can. Now that we have filled your Venn diagram from our brainstorming session, it is now time for Step 3. Structure your approach. A common structure for a comparison and contrast essay is through a point-by-point system. The point-by-point system classifies similarities and differences by topics or points. We may identify these points in our Venn diagram and relist them for organization. For example, an obvious point of comparison and contrast from our subject is travel. We may dedicate a paragraph comparing and contrasting travel before and after the pandemic. Another example of a point is communication. Hello? We need to dedicate another paragraph comparing and contrasting ways of communication before and after pandemic. Education could be another point. Before pandemic, we used to have face-to-face classes. Now, we use modules and some attend online classes. Let's dedicate another paragraph for education. Based on the points we have identified, we now have a plan for 3 paragraphs. Paragraph 1 is about travel before and during the pandemic. Paragraph 2 is about communication before and during the pandemic. And paragraph 3 is about education before and after the pandemic. This looks like a good plan. Now that we have decided on an approach, we are ready to Step 4. Write your paragraph. Writing a comparison and contrast paragraph follows the same structure as a classification and exemplification paragraph. It should have the following sentences: a topic sentence, followed by a sufficient number of supporting sentences, then a concluding sentence at the end. Let's discuss these sentences one by one. Your topic sentence should be based on the point you are discussing in the paragraph. For example, if I am writing about my third point, which is education, my topic sentence would look like this: education is another point that has changed dramatically during the pandemic. Your supporting sentences are examples of similarities and differences you listed based on the point for the paragraph. Since I am focusing more on how education changed, I would write a few examples of how education has changed since the pandemic. Before the pandemic, classes are held face-to-face inside a classroom. Now, classes are held online. Here is another supporting sentence. Before the pandemic, students interact with teachers in real time. They may ask questions and will get immediate feedback. Now, since interactions are online, responses may be delayed or even non-existent. Let's now add a similarity. Despite these changes, students are still expected to be committed to their studies. Our last sentence is the concluding sentence, which summarizes the points you made in your paragraph. For our paragraph, these new approaches to education have definitely changed how students and teachers interact. There you go. This summarizes our paragraph nicely. This is our entire paragraph with a topic sentence, supporting sentences, and a concluding sentence.
Wow, a lot has really changed since the pandemic. I miss a lot of things like studying with a classmate or watching a movie at a theater.
Same here. However, this is our new normal now. We have to remain optimistic and positive while getting used to it.
I will. I think I know enough to finish my comparison and contrast essay. Thanks so much.
Anytime, Kim. I'm happy to help. Just remember, keep reading because a reader is a leader. Keep writing and you can change the world. Keep being awesome. I'll see you next time in reading and writing skills. Bye.